Hey, oh, hey, this is Christine. You're following my weight loss journey and sticking to routines, even though I have ADHD and plenty of excuses to fail. I know it's been like a week since my last update, but it was sort of like a weird period where it's just like we're just dealing with the same issues kind of over and over again, and I just didn't want to just keep like overlapping these videos without any like kind of concrete solutions. So we had July 4th weekend. And I know it had only been, I don't know, like 2 weeks tops since I had quit smoking weed, but that's sort of a big thing for me. That was a big let go. And so July 4th weekend came and I had my emergency gummies, for crash out, and I decided, well, I'm not crashing out, but I'm gonna open up these gummies and just enjoy them with some friends, And I did. And it was a bit of a mistake. I'll be honest. I think I'm like just not as used to being like high and stuff. Like I wasn't feeling high after it was not working for a while. So like now that it was like worn off and then I picked it back up again, I actually got high and I enjoyed it less than expected, which is great. Because it just means that my other gummies are just waiting there. I think I might pull them out for holidays because it didn't occur to me when I bought them that they also expire. And so I was like, all right, just be the slow goodbye to these things. The next major holiday that I can think of would be Halloween. But that kind of makes sense because even taking just like a couple months away from it makes sense, because then December comes and I've got my birthday, I've got, Thanksgiving, and I've got Christmas, and I've got New Year's. And if I do edibles every single one of those holidays, that's a lot of edibles for like a single month, a month and a half, of time. So we're going to do a longer stretch in between just so that I can kind of get used to the idea of not being a high person. I just want to be like away from it for the most part. But this might turn into just like the absolute goodbye with this stuff. I think I'm just kind of like grown out of it finally, like yay, thank you, frontal cortex and some of the CPTSD for winding down. It hasn't been like a full 18 months, so I'm still having some rumination about some of the nastier things that happened to me, especially the lately stuff. But we don't need to talk about that. That's my private business. But I have been still dealing with that, and that makes my eating disorder worse. And it is sort of a disorder if it's hurting you. So I overeat, and that is, I do consider binge eating disordered eating. So with the edibles, and it was like a full weekend binge of edibles. I just kind of like kept up with it, and I was having my tons of food, and I was like, it's July 4th weekend. I had nachos, I had all sorts of stuff. At the end of the weekend, guess how many pounds I gained? Right? But they're all gone. Do they look like they're still here? No. And that's because I did something really fun. I got my bracelet back, and then I was like, stick on the points, right? And at first that was like really, really difficult. And then I was like, well, wait a second, because we learn things as we move along. So when I went to the salad bar and I wasn't feeling very full, even though I was eating tons of salad and other things that could have filled me up, I ate a baked potato. And that helped me stay satiated. I didn't gain any weight. And I was like, people hate potatoes for weight loss. They're like, they're evil, right? At least let it be a sweet potato. But I have like no proof of this. So I got a whole bag of the white potatoes, and I started eating a full baked potato like twice a day. And I would just take it, slice them in half. This was a lady on the internet said to do this. Spray a little olive oil on it, and then put just some flake salt on there. Bake it in the oven at like 400 degrees for like 45 minutes, and you've got like 2 nice roasted potato halves. It kind of doubled down. It not only was a really satiating meal, I should say triple down actually. It definitely kept me more full, more long, but it also, that 45 minutes waiting for my food to cook was like a very long time. So that kind of like helped me work on like resisting cravings when we already know that food's on the way, and it's going to be a whole baked potato. I was putting like salsa and cottage cheese or a little bit of either light sour cream or fat-free Greek yogurt. Usually it's this cottage cheese or the fat-free Greek yogurt. And that was like just really, really filling me up and just really, really keeping me good. But then another thing happened, because all weekend long I'm eating, and my body is just like bloop, 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 not eliminating anything. That's probably like a big reason why 10 whole pounds, because I didn't eat that many calories that weekend. But so we're talking about fake pounds, right? That's still not really necessary stuff. And so what ended up happening after the first day, by the second day, I was like eliminating like 3 times a day. It was like kind of gross. So I was taking extra showers, right? Because, who wants to, we don't have a bidet, so gross. But I was actually like really pleasantly surprised, and it literally just all popped off. I'm back down to 157, which is like my stalling weight, and that's fine. But I'm also on my cycle. Everything was like thrown off last month. There was like that second one, and so now that I read that that can happen with different things, just hormones being off or whatever, but it's kind of returning to normal, but like I'm still off schedule. So like this last time was like 3 weeks in between. But that gave me another good opportunity to feel that cycle, because that's what happened at the time. Like I was actually in my pre-cycle on July 4th weekend, and then everything started by like the 5th and 6th. That's where the real cycle started happening. So I was battling the gummies, I was battling hormonal cravings, I was battling, it's a holiday weekend where I think that, like, especially if you have CPTSD, you tend to get just a little bit more stressed out, just because like it sort of brings back memories of times that were supposed to be good and ended up not being good, and then you end up kind of, not having those same big parties and stuff that you're used to, being surrounded by people that you love, that you're used to, because it's replaced with poor memories, and we'll just kind of leave that at that. But those potatoes, it was like a triple duty. It was filling me up. It was helping me wait for the food. It was helping me, I think it helped me straight up eliminate all that gut storage that needed to go away. And I'll be honest, I've been eating 2 baked potatoes cooked that way every single day since, and it's just been lovely. I truly do love baked potatoes. And I went ahead and I've been still doing the higher fiber drink mix, where I have my psyllium husk, and I take it with the water, I shake it up really fast, and then drink it really, really fast before it has a chance to gel up, so that happens in my stomach. That's been really helping. I've still been having my chocolate pudding Pro-Yo that I make out of the fat-free Greek yogurt and the sugar-free chocolate Jello pudding with like a couple scoops of the protein powder in there. That really has been helping keep me good. And the final thing is, I went to the store and I got a bunch of strawberries and blackberries and apples and cherries, and I just kind of like, if I wanted to eat a bunch of food, I would just kind of crash out on these fruits instead of anything else, and those really do help. So I haven't been eating any of the gummies or any of things like that. And I want to try to get back to juice gummies, which is what I was making with beef gelatin mix like 6 months ago. I still have the little shark molds and stuff. So probably be more like healthy, joint stimulating gummies in that sense. So another little move on thing we're going to try to keep fast is I got these stretchy pants in the mail, and they are supposed to help with cellulite, which is wonderful, and that's great. But ADHD, I forgot something else. I'll probably get back to you about the brand of them if they do anything. But of course, just like every other diet, including my bracelet, all of their claims come with, if you have proper diet, if you exercise. So although I'm definitely going to keep trying these products and testing them out, we're always going to remember that the biggest thing is going to be how well it works for us, sticking to our own diet, sticking to our own exercise. These are supposed to like help with circulation and stuff. Like I said, I'll get back to you more about these pants if it seems like they really help with anything. But the main thing I also got is I got some Pro Elastin, and I got this 3-month supply. and I've been taking it every day too. Now, I will get back to you about this because obviously I haven't been taking it long enough, but we're going to do a 3-month trial run on these to see if it helps with things like loose, saggy skin, because I am trying to be really, really patient with myself with that, and just know that it really does take like a year or so for all that saggy skin to kind of like tighten up on its own before you should judge it. But I want to see if giving it a little booster is going to help. You know, I mean, we age, so we're always going to end up a little wrinkly in the end, but we're going to give this a shot. It's supposed to support skin firmness, elasticity, and offer fewer visible wrinkles. I will definitely keep that updated. Let's see, is there anything else? I've been trying out my sample bracelets. Everybody's been loving them. They're ultra, ultra, ultra lightweight compared to the ones that I originally got with the nuts on them. But I'm keeping that line because when I'm out in the dirt in the sun and I'm working and I'm sweating and I'm getting like all these things out when I'm out doing irrigation work out here in 110 degree weather, I don't want to be wearing my cute little tiger's eyes and green labradites and stuff like that. So when I'm out there doing that, the bracelet is 100% stainless steel. That's about it. I'm getting ready to start doing sales of the bracelets because I really do feel like you really can't go wrong when you're talking about regulated eating, you know, and if you're eating 3 medium-sized meals a day, 2 regular snacks, and having 1 calorie drink, you're probably at a good, healthy amount of calories. We're not necessarily focused on being a deficit. We want to have the highest metabolic rate possible, which actually means maxing out on calories. We want to have the highest digestion rate possible because that also helps. You have less toxins building up in your body, causing all sorts of hormonal problems and issues. And so I'm trying to look for things that are going to help me more often, you know, and sometimes that's going to be some of that celery juice. Sometimes it's going to be a lovely baked potato. We're looking for whatever works best with our bodies so that we have the energy, we have the nutrition, we have the comfort, but we also want to make sure that we're also hitting our goals, and we also want to make sure that we're being patient with ourselves and reasonable with ourselves. And that's just a big task. And so, you know, it's been taking a while to get all together. And, oh gracious, the computer's talking to me. I hope you're having a great week, and I hope you remember to treat yourself very, 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 very well. Cheers.